So the footwork. So I'm here at Richard and Bonnie's studio in Boulder, Colorado at the Pilates Institute of Boulder. And I'm going to go over a little bit of the footwork, mainly just that first position and what it shows you. Because footwork really isn't just footwork. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the foot bar. And we're going to go right to it. Here's the first position where your foot's in a slight V, Pilates V if you like, and you're on a padded foot bar. Originally I learned it without the pad, and there was sometimes some discomfort in the ball of the foot, but after time that discomfort was alleviated because it broke up scar tissue or tightness, and it was really important. However, today we have padding and you can still get the same benefit, albeit I don't believe the same. But none of our clients are going to work on a really hard foot bar again. Some people do, obviously. So this is the first position of the foot bar. You want this whole ball of the foot pressed on here with this little toe reaching out, searching for the edge of the bar. So there's weight almost equal, but not quite. And I say almost because the outside of the foot is not weight bearing, and we don't want it weight bearing here either. We want that weight through the inner 2/3 of the foot. And the most important thing is when we do the footwork is that we keep the heel, this ball of the foot to this heel relationship exactly the same. So when we push the carriage out, it doesn't move down and it doesn't push up really high. The heel stays below the bar and it stays locked in space. So after the first repetition, when you push your legs out, if the bar goes down, if your foot goes down, you keep it there. So when you're moving out and in, the foot stays locked in space. If you can't keep it and it has to move, it has to, but the goal is to keep the heels locked in space. They're a brace, the feet are a brace to support the buttocks, legs, and trunk moving out and in. So that's just a small detail. Now here's what I'm going to go over. Often people will come on the foot bar. There's a really common foot position we're going to hit today, which is a super high arch that is slightly supinated, where the weight is carried on the outside because of the high arch. And when that person gets on the foot bar, they tend to keep the weight through here, through the outside of the foot, because that is where they carry the weight, and they're very tight through their calf and soleus often. So what does that do when they straighten their leg? Well, it keeps tightness through the lateral component of the leg from the ankle, the knee, and the hip. And then how that shows up in other exercises is very important. So the thing you have to do with a person who has this ankle is strive to lower the foot and get that ball of the foot on the bar to push out. And sometimes you have to not have the heels touch, because the traditional position would be here. And often those people will have to have their feet a little bit apart in here. Now there's more to it, but today we're just going to hit that point about getting the inner 2/3, try and get this up and adjust all the way up. And then we're going to look at 2 or 3 other exercises that when this arch is super high and this latter component of the leg is tight, what does that look like? So this first position is an indicator of what happens through the whole reformer workout. So let's look at another exercise. This is the foot position that gives the lower leg that are tight in the soleus and the calf a lot of trouble. And if you have that high arch where the weight drops off to the outside, often you'll see this Achilles tendon off over to the side and not even touching. And so people will then put their foot up here, which is really incorrect. And often the ball of the foot, and you can see I have a pretty big bunion. This part of the foot, when someone's constantly weight bearing out here, actually becomes very stiff. So then when they get to this knee stretch position, they actually don't have the flexibility through the foot to do this. So there's 2 things we can do. Sometimes we can put something behind the heel to give them a little less range, but something to push against so that they activate these muscles and stretch, because they're actually able to push in now. And this really, really helps. So different sizes of objects. Here's a kind of like a racquetball. That would give you a nice pressure point work too. And sometimes I'll stick other things in here. This foot goes like so, with that high arched person who walks on the outside of their foot. Often they're knock-kneed. So it's really important to get them through that inner 2/3 of the foot, aligned with the knee and the hip. To allow someone to do this and move the carriage out and in a knee stretch would continue the pattern that they have of building that lateral component of their leg, and we don't want to do that. So work with this as best you can and see if there's a change, and then have them activate through the inner thighs. Their whole leg's going to activate more if they push through the center of the foot than if you keep allowing this movement. So this is going to show up in everything they do. So that first position of the footwork can give you a lot of information about how the person works when they're weight-bearing, non-weight-bearing, in a lot of the Pilates reformer, from side kicks to the knee stretches to even how they're doing short spine. So just take a look. That first position footwork is going to teach you a lot about their body if you just observe it. Thanks.